The once promising political career of Mayor Tiffany Henyard took a drastic and devastating turn as the historic election of Dalton, Illinois' first black female mayor was soon marred by scandal, financial mismanagement, and allegations of corruption. Initially, Hen's election was celebrated as a breakthrough moment for the town, symbolizing progress and the breaking down of racial barriers in local politics. She was seen as a beacon of hope for Dalton, a community struggling with economic challenges and a lack of political representation. However, what should have been a promising new chapter for the town quickly unraveled. Henyard found herself at the center of a scandal involving embezzlement of taxpayer funds and the misuse of public resources for personal indulgences. Among the most egregious accusations was her $43,000 Amazon shopping spree, a single-day splurge that left many residents stunned and disillusioned. This wasn't an isolated incident, but part of a troubling pattern of lavish personal spending, including first-class flights, five-star hotel stays, and extravagant purchases. One particularly shocking expenditure involved a $110,000 stay at the prestigious Four Seasons Hotel in Atlanta, which many in the community found impossible to reconcile with the financial struggles of the town she was supposed to serve. These revelations cast a dark cloud over Henyard's leadership as the public began to realize that while the mayor lived a life of luxury, Dalton was sinking further into debt, its financial stability deteriorating under her administration. Projects meant to revitalize the town stalled or were abandoned, and promises to improve infrastructure, services, and public programs went unfulfilled. Instead of progress, the town saw its fiscal health plummet as Hen's mismanagement compounded existing financial woes. The trust residents had placed in her quickly eroded as it became clear that her actions represented not just a betrayal of the public trust, but a deep violation of the principles of accountability and service. Local government officials, once aligned with Henyard's vision for the town, now scrambled to repair the damage caused by her alleged financial misconduct. But the damage was already done. Dalton, a town once hopeful for change, now faced an uncertain future, with residents increasingly disillusioned and questioning whether the promised revitalization was ever more than a mirage. The allegations against Henyard were particularly devastating because they highlighted the stark contrast between her lavish lifestyle and the harsh realities faced by Dalton's residents. While Henyard reportedly enjoyed luxury accommodations and extravagant purchases, the town's infrastructure remained crumbling. Services were underfunded and critical projects stagnated. The financial instability she created left Dalton in a precarious position, with mounting debt and insufficient resources to address urgent issues. The sense of betrayal was compounded by the perception that Henyard, rather than using her position to uplift and serve the community, had used it for her own personal gain. The damage from her actions extended far beyond financial loss. It fractured the community, creating a deep divide between the people and their elected officials. What was once seen as a promising era of change now left Dalton in a state of disillusionment and uncertainty as investigations into her financial activities intensified. Calls for accountability grew louder, with citizens demanding transparency and answers about how public funds had been diverted for private benefit instead of being used to address the town's pressing needs. Henyard's political future now hung in the balance, with the prospect of legal consequences looming over her. Her fall from grace had been swift and dramatic, leaving her reputation tatters. Once celebrated as a trailblazer and a symbol of hope for the town, she was now viewed as a cautionary tale of how unchecked power can be easily abused. Or downfall had not only tarnished the office of mayor, but also dealt a blow to the town's morale as residents struggled to cope with the fallout of her actions. Dalton was left with a fractured community, bitterly divided by the events of the past few years. Henyard's actions had left lasting scars, and the damage to the town's reputation may take years to repair. As her legal battle unfolded, Dalton remained in a state of limbo, unsure of what the future would hold. The town found itself at a critical crossroads. Henyard, who had once symbolized hope for change and progress as the town's first black female mayor, now stood as a stark reminder of the dangers of unchecked leadership and the betrayal of public trust. As legal battles intensified and the town reeled from the financial wreckage left in her wake, Henyard's fall from grace was a harsh lesson in the destructive power of corruption and the lack of oversight in public office. Despite overwhelming evidence of financial mismanagement, such as her lavish personal Spending including a $43,000 Amazon shopping spree and a $110,000 stay at the Four Seasons Hotel. Henyard remained toying her refusal to cooperate with efforts to resolve Dalton's financial crisis, including vetoing measures to impose stricter financial controls and blocking the appointment of an independent auditor, led to a state of gridlock within the town's administration. This only fueled public outrage, with residents growing increasingly frustrated. Town hall meetings became heated. Protests erupted in the streets, and social media campaigns demanded her resignation instead of acknowledging her role in the town's financial collapse. Henyard portrayed herself as a misunderstood leader, accusing her critics of singling her out at one town meeting. Her bizarre behavior included showing up with a golden microphone, an ostentatious gesture that stunned the audience and underscored her apparent disconnect from the gravity of the situation. Another in saw a DJ allegedly playing Rihanna's Better Have My Money in an apparent attempt to MCK the crisis. These actions deepened the sense of alienation between Henyard and the community as residents became more frustrated with her refusal to accept responsibility for the damage caused under her leadership. Dalton, once full of hope for a brighter future, now faced an uncertain path forward. Henyard's grip on power weakened amid legal investigations and widespread calls for reform, leaving the town on the brink of a critical turning point. The fallout from Henyard's actions not only served as a warning to others in positions of power, but also presented an opportunity for Dalton to rebuild and move beyond the scandal. As the town struggled with the financial mess left in Henyard's wake, there was growing hope that the lessons learned from this dark chapter would inspire necessary reforms, restore public trust, and help rebuild the community. However, with Henyard continuing to resist efforts to curb the town's excessive spending and her bizarre antics further alienating residents, Dalton's future remained UNC. The frustration with Henyard reached a boiling point as residents long for a return to integrity and accountability in their leadership. Her dramatic fall from grace served as a sobering reminder of the importance of transparency and ethical conduct in public office, emphasizing that unchecked power can have devastating consequences for a community. Dalton now found itself at a crossroads, its future uncertain, but with an opportunity to rebuild and restore faith in its leadership. If only the town could overcome the damage done by Hen's tenure, it might chart a path forward based on the principles of accountability and responsible governance. Serious allegations against Henyard continued to intensify as Dalton spiraled deeper into a political and financial crisis, and even her former supporters turned on her. Once a vocal advocate of Henyard's leadership, Dalton's trustees publicly expressed regret for their early backing, now seeing it as a mistake. In hindsight, their support, initially rooted in hope for change, was now seen as misplaced, leaving the town to grapple with the wreckage of Hen's tenure. Hope for progress in Dalton, Illinois has soured as Mayor Tiffany Henyard continues to avoid addressing mounting accusations against her strange and erratic behavior, including showing up at town meetings with a golden microphone and allowing a DJ to play Rihanna's Better Have My Money, has further alienated not only the public, but even her most steadfast supporters. These bizarre antics, coupled with her ongoing denial about the consequences of her actions, have deepened the community's frustration and undermined any remaining faith in her leadership. Henyard's silence on critical issues and her refusal to take responsibility have raised suspicions that she may be attempting to flee Dalton before facing legal repercussions. The FBI's increased focus on tracking her whereabouts has added urgency to the situation as rumors swirl that she may be preparing to escape justice. This growing uncertainty has left Dalton in a state of chaos marked by financial instability, deteriorating public services, and a general sense of dysfunction of town already struggling with mounting debt and critical infrastructure issues. Aijas is now questioning whether Henyard has any intention or ability to lead effectively. The mounting tension has escalated concerns about her leadership, and many fear that Dalton may face even more strife before it reaches a breaking point. Adding to the complexity of the crisis, the indictment of Deputy Police Chief L.S. Lacey on charges of bankruptcy fraud has cast a shadow over Henyard's administration, sparking suspicions of a pattern of financial misconduct. The connection between Lacey's charges and Henyard's troubled leadership has fueled rumors of widespread corruption within her administration as legal and public pressure mounted. Dalton's trustees took swift action to limit Hen's influence. They tightened financial controls, cut